Caden Miller was your typical 14-year-old teenager, living in Conroe, Texas. He had the same worries and dreams as any other kid his age: school, friends, and maybe someday making it big. Unlike most of his friends from his old public school, Caden had earned a scholarship to the prestigious Conroe Academy, a private high school nestled on a sprawling campus with manicured lawns and ivy-covered buildings. Life at Conroe Academy was a world away from the simple life Caden was used to. The students wore crisp uniforms, carried the latest gadgets, and drove to school in cars that cost more than his parents' house. Caden was an outsider in this world, never quite fitting in with the rich and elite. Despite his intelligence and talents, he struggled to make friends and often felt invisible among the well-off students. He longed for more, for power, for respect, for a way to rise above the life he'd always known. One late autumn evening, after staying late for extra study in the school's state-of-the-art library, Caden decided to take a shortcut home through a dense forest that bordered the school. The sky was clear, and the stars were out in full force. As he walked, lost in his thoughts, he noticed a strange light in the sky. It was growing brighter and brighter, moving closer with terrifying speed. Before he could react, a searing pain shot through his back, and everything went black. When Caden awoke, he found himself lying in a small crater. His clothes were singed, and the ground around him was charred. But what was more astonishing was that he felt different. His back was burning with a strange energy, and when he tried to stand, he realized that he was floating inches above the ground. He had been hit by a meteor, but instead of killing him, it had fused with his body, leaving behind a strange, glowing mark on his skin. Over the next few days, Caden discovered that the meteor had given him incredible powers. He was invincible, nothing could hurt him. He had super strength, able to lift cars with ease. He could move at lightning speed, run faster than anyone could see, fly through the air, and even become invisible at will. At first, Caden was overwhelmed by his newfound abilities. He didn't tell anyone about them, not even his parents, who noticed his sudden increase in confidence. Caden soon realized that he could use these powers to change his life, to become someone who mattered. But the temptation to use them for personal gain was too great to resist. Caden started small. He would use his super speed to ace tests, read entire textbooks in minutes, and finish assignments in seconds. His grades skyrocketed, and he became the top student in his class. He used his invisibility to listen in on the popular kids' conversations, learning their secrets and using them to his advantage. Soon, Caden was no longer the shy, quiet kid from Conroe. He was the talk of the school, admired by teachers and students alike. But it wasn't enough. The more Caden tasted power, the more he craved it. One night, while lying in bed, Caden had a thought. What if he used his powers to make money? Lots of money. It was too easy, really. With his abilities, he could be in and out of a bank vault in seconds, invisible to cameras and guards. No one would ever know. And so, Caden began his secret life of crime. He would fly to nearby cities in the dead of night, slipping into banks, jewelry stores, and wealthy homes, taking whatever he wanted. The rush of power was intoxicating, and the money flowed in like water. He opened secret bank accounts, stashed cash in hidden spots, and even invested in the stock market under a false identity. By day, Caden was the golden boy of Conroe Academy, a brilliant student destined for greatness. By night, he was a ghost, a shadow in the dark, amassing wealth and power beyond his wildest dreams. As time went on, Caden became more reckless. He stopped caring about the consequences of his actions, believing himself untouchable. But the more he took, the more the authorities started to notice. Reports of mysterious break-ins and disappearing money began to circulate, and rumors of a superpowered thief started to spread. Caden also noticed that his powers, once a source of joy and excitement, were starting to take a toll on him. The energy from the meteor seemed to be slowly changing him, making him colder, more detached. He found it harder to feel anything: no guilt, no fear, no love. His relationships with his parents, his classmates, even the few friends he had made, began to crumble. He was becoming more isolated, more consumed by his own power. One night, after a particularly daring heist, Caden returned home to find his mother waiting for him. She had always been a sharp woman, and she had noticed the changes in her son, the late-night disappearances, the sudden wealth, the coldness in his eyes. "Caden, what's happening to you?" she asked, her voice trembling with fear and concern. Caden looked at her, feeling nothing but a distant sense of irritation. "Nothing you need to worry about, Mom," he said, his voice calm, almost robotic. But deep down, he knew that something was wrong. The meteor had given him power beyond imagination, but it had also taken something from him, his humanity. As the authorities closed in, Caden realized that he couldn't keep this up forever. He had pushed his luck too far, and now the world was beginning to see him for what he truly was, a criminal. But instead of stopping, he doubled down, believing that his powers would protect him from any consequences. But one night, during a heist gone wrong, Caden found himself cornered by a team of elite law enforcement officers. They had been tracking him for months, piecing together the evidence of his crimes. As they closed in, Caden tried to fight back, using his strength and speed to fend them off. But for the first time, he felt fear. He was outnumbered, and his powers, which had once made him feel invincible, now seemed to falter. In a desperate attempt to escape, Caden tried to fly away, but something went wrong. The energy from the meteor, the very thing that had given him his powers, suddenly surged through his body, overwhelming him. He crashed to the ground, unable to move, his body racked with pain. As the officers closed in, Caden realized that he had made a terrible mistake. He had let his powers consume him, turn him into something he never wanted to be. And now, he was going to pay the price. Caden was arrested and taken into custody. The world was shocked to learn that the golden boy of Conroe Academy was the infamous thief who had been terrorizing the region. His trial was swift, and he was sentenced to a life of confinement in a special facility designed to contain people with extraordinary abilities. But even in his cell, stripped of his freedom and wealth, Caden couldn't help but feel a strange sense of relief. For the first time in months, the energy from the meteor was silent, and his mind was clear. He had lost everything, his family, his friends, his future, but he had also regained something far more important, his humanity. As the years passed, Caden came to terms with his actions. He used his time in confinement to reflect on the choices he had made and the person he had become. And slowly, he began to change. He used his powers to help the guards and other inmates, finding small ways to make up for the harm he had caused. Caden Miller would never be the same boy he was before that fateful night in the forest, but he had learned a valuable lesson. True power isn't about what you can take from the world, it's about what you can give back. And so, in the end, the boy from Conroe, Texas, who had once dreamed of greatness, found a different kind of redemption, one that came not from his powers, but from the strength of his own heart.